Hello, I am the Niche, and I am learning not to suck at Overwatch. I'm sorry about the gap between the last video and this one. I've been wrestling with sound issues all week, but I've finally got that ironed out, so hopefully we'll have better sound going forward. In today's vid, I want to talk about tilt, or getting salty, or however you like to describe it. The point is, game rage. I'm going to use footage from an episode of the current weekly Brawl, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because it's a game mode where there's very little emotional investment, and therefore very little to get salty about. The reason why I chose this topic is because last weekend, when I was trying to record some gameplay to go over this week, I had a particularly bad episode of Tilt. I was grouped with Ink Blitzer and Graveheart, and the three of us were actually doing fairly well. But as the evening went on, I found myself getting more and more worked up, until by the end I was just frothing, like embarrassingly so. I went back and apologized to my teammates after the fact, but it was clear to me that this is something I need to learn to deal with. Now everybody has good games and bad games, and in a game like Overwatch particularly, if the matchmaking has done its job right, you should be pit against players of roughly your own skill level, which means that until you just start to outclass everyone in the player pool, and you're getting grouped with the pros, you can expect to win or lose about 50% of the time. But the strange thing is, you can be winning right and left and still get salty. In my own case, that's exactly what was happening. We were winning enough that my win rate improved by 3% over the course of the night, which is not bad at all. But I was still feeling bad about how the games were going. So I spent some time trying to dissect this and figure out what was happening. I finally worked out that what really shoves me hard into Tilt is feeling shut down.
This is gonna be tough.
If I come around a corner just to get one-shotted by a Widowmaker I never saw, or if I try to hunt down a Mercy only to have her take me down with a few shots while I can't hit her at all, or worst of all, when I feel like people on the other team are ignoring objectives just to specifically kill me over and over, that's when I start to get angry. That feeling of powerlessness is one of my own personal buttons, and it sends me straight into Rageland. But that's the thing, now having identified that, I can watch out for it, I can compensate for it, and I can start to overcome it. I can also look for things that I can do in the game to prevent it from coming up in the first place. I already know from studying earlier episodes that I have a tendency to charge in, which leads to me getting swarmed and getting killed. Combining that with understanding that a feeling of powerlessness in the game also sets me off points to a pattern. What's happening here is that I'm going in with an unconscious assumption of being able to go in and dominate the situation, and I'm getting frustrated when this doesn't happen. So what do I do about it? Well, for starters, I need to get that expectation out of my head. If I am being placed in matches with people of roughly my own skill level, I'm only 1/12 of the game, so of course I'm not going to dominate. But the thing is, if you had asked me up front, I wouldn't have thought that was a thing in my mind. If anything, I would have said just the opposite. I've found myself several times feeling quite intimidated by going against light players, and I think that's actually the dark mirror of the same mindset. Instead of the expectation that I will dominate, it becomes the fear that I won't. Now over the past week I've been doing a lot of reading up on Tilt, both what causes it and what you can do to counter it, and the recurring pattern I've heard again and again is to stop focusing on wins and losses, and instead focus on making each game a study on simply learning to play better. And it makes sense. If the game's inherent design is for your win-loss ratio to float around 50%, then once you get there it stops being a meaningful statistic. What you instead want is for the quality of your opponents to be going up. Because if you're a better player than you used to be, then it takes better and better players to keep you challenged.
Well, okay then.
My ultimate's ready, so this should be fun.
Only if we get back to the point in time. Nope.
This is true. That sucks.
The great thing about the brawl is the rules are made up and the points don't matter.
We're gonna need someone else to do Roadhog or some shit.
I'm barely passable as McCree. I can't do either Reaper or Roadhog.
Right.
So that's my big lesson for this week. I've learned that I have this unconscious expectation, and that I need to change my mindset. Of course, it's not fun to get shut down, and it never will be. But instead of, ugh, I got shut down, how did that happen, rage, I need to look at it, ask myself, how did I get shut down, and what could I have done better? And keep that knowledge moving forward. And I think the other thing I need to do is simply to play more live games, to desensitize myself from defeats. I mean, heck, with the possible exception of Team Envious, even the pros lose a lot, because they're playing against other pros. But instead of freaking out about how they've been stomped, they congratulate the other team on their stomping skills. And that's how you defeat Tilt, by learning to have a good time even when you're losing. Easier said than done? Maybe. But that's how you learn not to suck at Overwatch, and so that's what I'm going to try to do. Thanks for watching. I hope you found something useful here. If so, please pop a like on it. That helps spread the word about
There's
the
a
video
Reaper
to
up
other
above.
users. And if you have any tips of your own on how to get over tilt, I'd love to hear them. Thanks. Bye-bye for now.